Alright guys, I'm kind of going to go through how to use a TI-84, similar to a TI-83 calculator as well. I'm going to start with just some of the most basic functions of the calculator. So, biggest things is the buttons themselves, 1, 2, 3, sine, cosine, tangent. They say what they are when you hit them. The blue writing is underneath the second key. So if you were to hit the second key right here, your cursor would show an arrow. Allows you to get to any of the blue lettering throughout the calculator here. So a few functions that you'd want to know about for future use. You've got your square root function right above the x squared right there. So you'd have to hit second square root to get to it. You've got pi, you've got the number e, things like that. Commas, parentheses, they come into play more when you're looking at more advanced functions. Like underneath this math function, there's a bunch of craziness that's going on. So let's kind of go through one piece at a time. One of the most helpful skills to have is, let's say you're typing out your number like this, but you actually meant to have a 1 right there between the 4 and the 2. You could easily do 1 and then keep writing your number right there. But what's something that's helpful is this INS on your calculator. It stands for insert. So you hit second insert. You're going to see that your cursor now goes white instead of black. And anything that you type here will insert in between those two characters, I should say, but it won't overwrite. Like when it's a black cursor like this, anything that I put is going to overwrite those commas. But if I do insert, I don't get rid of anything. Alpha helps you get to these letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and things like that. Those letters are just empty variables that you can use and recall. For instance, if I hit alpha A and I hit enter, it's going to say 0. What I can actually do is I can store values into it. So we're working on a problem. Let's say we do the cosine of 85, and we get this crazy number right here, and we want to keep that number. We don't want to estimate anything. We don't want to type it like this. One function we can use is called the STO. It's store. So when I click on it, it's going to recall the last number. So I'm going to take my answer, so this number right here, arrow, and I can pick a letter. Let's call it A. Earlier we saw that A was 0. When I hit enter here, we have done the function. If I recall A, it brings me that number. So in essence, what it allows me to do, and here I'll show you, we've got B, we've got C, they're both zeros. If I store 4 into, if I store 4 into B, and I can store 9, let's say, into C. And now if I go B plus C, 4 plus 9, my answer should be 13. If I do B times C, I should get 36. So I can recall a bunch of these letters to help me throughout a problem. So if I'm working with a crazy number, 7 divided by 96, and I get this crazy decimal and I need to use the whole thing, I can store it into a variable so I don't have to remember to type it all the way down. A few other basic functions that are good to know. Underneath your math option, this first folder right here, fraction, decimal helps you convert any decimal into a fraction, any fraction into a decimal. You can cube a number using this, cube root a number. This fifth option asks you for any root. So if I was on the home screen, I could do 7, go to math, select this option, And now I'm doing the 7th root of that number. But it's easier to do powers and exponentials using our caret function. So I want to take 9 and cube it right there. I want to take 9 and take it to the 8th power. If I want to take it to the 7th power or anything, we can write it as a fraction. So the caret allows you to do exponential powers. Some other basic things, this button X, T, theta, and N is your variable button. Anytime you hit it, you'll spit out an X. It will change if you change your mode. Right now we're in function mode. If we move to parametric mode, it'll have T as your variable, polar will have your theta, and sequential will have the N. So if I were to switch to sequential, now it should spit out an N instead of an X. If I go to parametric, whoops, now it gives T for our variable. For most of your mathematical lives, you'll be stuck with the function mode, and that is perfectly fine. All right, a few other basic features of the calculator. One, you can turn your screen brightness up and down by hitting the second key and up and down like this. Second entry can recall the last thing that you type. So you're like, oh, 5 plus 6, whoops, 5 plus 3. Oh, I just need to over the right like that. And I was like, oh, cool. Oh, I want to do that again. Second enter recalls that same equation. Second negative recalls the previous answer for you. And that's pretty much the basics of our calculator. If we go back to our math folder, there's a few other things I just want to look through to add to this video. ABS, that's your absolute value function. That's the only thing that I've ever really used from this particular folder. Round, you round a number, but I'm pretty sure if you type it in there like round 5.25, you'll have to hit a comma and select. I don't know if this will work, so don't quote me on it. Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, interesting. Okay, so I'm not familiar with that one, so don't try that one. This is the integer part of a number. This is the fractional part of the number. Integer, max, min, max, I should say. Least common multiple, greatest common, whoops, hit the button, whoops. Greatest common denominator, remainder, no idea, no idea, no idea, no idea. This is our complex number. I know that stands for conjugate, real part, imaginary part, the angle, polar. It all goes with polar coordinates. Probability, RAND stands for random. And this is a permutation. NCR, this is a combination. Exclamation point is our factorial. This is how you can generate a random integer. So this one's actually pretty cool. So if I go random int, my new calculator allows me to pick the lower number, the upper number, and how many numbers it wants me to generate. So I'm like, all right, lower number will be 1, higher number is 10, say 2. Then I hit enter. So this is what it looks like. So on an old calculator, this is where you use the comma. I want my lower, I want my maximum. The last one, this is how many numbers I want it to spit out. I hit enter, and it's going to randomly generate 2 numbers between 1 and 10. Just over and over again, as many times as I hit enter. So if I recall it and I just go, you know what, I don't want this. I just want you to generate 1 number. I can type it like that. It spits out 1 random number between 1 and 10. Again, never really used any of those functions right there. And that is the basic use of a calculator. Oh, you know, I'm going to talk about the graphing ones on a later video. Oh, I just noticed this before I end the video here. Second, and then I hit the double E. This is scientific notation, so you might see it happen if you have like a really large number times a really large number. The calculator can only generate so many characters. So this is telling you that we have 5, and then this decimal point really should be 25 spaces to the right, way over here. So it's 5, 8, 25 times this way. Is how large that number actually is. So you can actually use that to generate scientific notation. So you see a problem like 7.2 to the 7th or to the 4th power plus 3.1 times 10 to the 8th power. That's what it ends up looking like out of scientific notation. So that's pretty cool to use. And then everything else I want to show you is on a follow-up video. Okay, see ya.